Welcome to the Rent to Rent Success podcast, all about creating consistent cash flow, escaping the 9-to-5, and really living life on your terms. This is the only podcast entirely dedicated to helping you achieve rent to rent success. It's our place to inspire each other to believe bigger, to be bolder, and to be game changers for good. I'm Nicky Taylor, your guide on this exciting ride. Let's start up the engines and get ready to fly. Hello, 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 and welcome aboard episode 4 of the Rent to Rent Success podcast. And today, I'm getting serious. And I'll be answering the very serious question, is rent to rent legal? And helping you to stay on the right side of the law. This is such an important topic because there's so much misinformation out there. But by the end of this episode, you are going to be very well informed. Do you know what? Beforehand, I wondered whether I would really like podcasting because I've done more video, really. And I do like podcasting so much as I'm sitting here looking out of my window at the River Usk and I think of you listening and it just feels so much more intimate than video. But it feels less, I don't hear from you as much because video feels a little bit more interactive because of the commenting. So I would love to get to know you. So do come over and join us in the Rent to Rent Success Secrets Facebook group. We go live there every Wednesday evening for Rent to Rent Real Talk, where a rent to rent rock star comes in and tells us their story about rent to rent, the reality behind the rhetoric, the highs and lows. So do come over there, say hi there. We'd love to get to know you. And I think you'd really enjoy them as well. And if you enjoy the podcast and you haven't reviewed it yet, then please do. I know it's a little bit faffy, so I super appreciate you if you do it, and you'll feel amazing if you do. And if you're joining us for the first time today, where have you been? Do go back to episode 1, as the episodes do build on each other and build each one on top of the other and give you a complete picture for rent to rent success. For today, let's dive in. So, is rent to rent legal? I could answer the question in one word, yes. Or in 3 words, yes, yes, yes. Or in 6 words, yes, rent to rent is legal. But I know that your forehead even, is still furrowed. So I'm going to explain a little bit more. Rent to rent has been used in commercial property since the pyramids were built. Oh, okay, maybe not quite that far back, but almost. And commercial leases are long-term leases which give a commercial property tenant, usually a business, the right to sublet their property. And typically, they're on a full repairing and insuring lease where the tenant takes on all the costs of repairing and insuring the property. And that is what the rent-to-rent model is based on. The model came over to residential property and it's been adapted to give residential landlords similar guarantees to those which commercial landlords typically get. And the reason why many people think that rent to rent is illegal is that subletting has got a really bad name. It's because subletting comes to public attention when it's in the news because someone has done it illegally without the knowledge of the property owner. And of course, that is not what we're talking about here. Rent to rent is legal when it's done with the full knowledge and consent of the owner and when the correct contracts are in place. Now, we're going to come on to contracts in a future episode, but for now, we will put a link to a blog post about contracts in the show notes, and you'll be able to find them at renttorentsuccess.com/4, and it's rent number 2 rentsuccess.com/4 for episode 4 of the podcast. You find the show notes there with more info on contracts. Hello, would you like to start your rent-to-rent business step by step with us? Book a rent-to-rent strategy session with me to find out more about the Kickstarter program and to see whether it's right for you. Go to rentsuccess.com/call. That's rentsuccess.com/call. I can't wait to speak to you about your goals and to answer any questions you may have, and more importantly, to help you start your rent-to-rent success story. So, rent-to-rent is legal when it's done with the right contracts. But if you still have one eyebrow raised and you're thinking, well, she would say that, wouldn't she? You might be convinced by the fact that rent-to-rent is recognised by the government's property ombudsman, the Property Redress Scheme, or PRS, as we call it for short. And I'm going to read for you the PRS definition of rent-to-rent. Rent-to-rent is where an individual or company known as the agent rents a property from a landlord for a specified period of time during which the landlord receives a fixed guaranteed rent from the agent. This can be attractive to landlords who want a hands-off investment with guaranteed income. The agent then lets the property, generally on a room-by-room basis, and manages the property. So, couldn't have put it better myself. That's the PRS definition, and I'll link in the show notes to the PRS scheme's guide, because you might find it useful to have a link to that just in case you need to explain to anybody else. So I hope you like that nugget. I don't hear many people talking about this. And the fact that so many people dismiss this strategy out of hand means that there's more opportunity for you. And when people you don't know or don't care about tell you all the reasons why rent-to-rent is wrong or illegal, just smile sweetly. Don't even expend your precious energy in correcting them. But if you do want to correct them, you've got all the ammo you need right there on the government's ombudsman body website, the PRS. So what you know about rent-to-rent and what you act upon will change your income and your impact. You don't need anybody else to understand that rent-to-rent is legal and ethical. But as we said, you've got the tools in your toolbox now for when you're speaking to people that you do care about and when you're speaking with the agents and landlords who you'd like to help. So, okay, you say, I got it. I understand how rent-to-rent works. I know that it's legal, but why would a landlord give a property to me? That's the second most popular question I get asked. And I thought you might say that. So I've got all the good stuff ready for you in episode 5. So that is it here for this week. I'd love to know your takeaways from this week. I'd love to hear from you. Message me on Insta. I'm at Stephanie T Property, and I look forward to hearing from you over there. So if you're still with me here at the end, please remember to subscribe and rate if you haven't done already. My mum has been asking me about it. She's getting more excited about the reviews than we are. And I know it would just thrill her to bits. And I know you're super fans if you're listening right to the end. If you would just mention Monica, that's my mum. Would you mention Monica in one of your reviews? That would be amazing. I think she would get a real kick out of that. So yeah, I will end it there for this week, and I really look forward to seeing you next week. In the meantime, remember, believe bigger, be bolder, and be a game changer. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like the links for anything mentioned in today's episode, or if voice is not enough and you want to see us on video too, you can find all the show notes and lots more at renttoRentSuccess.com. That's rent number 2, rentsuccess.com. If you've enjoyed today's episode, we'd super appreciate it if you would take a few minutes to review it in your podcast app. Remember, we'll be donating to our B1G1 charities too for each review you give. Until then, believe bigger, be bolder, be a game changer.